Here they are, ladies and gentlemen. It is time to meet our house guests. Big Brother has just begun.
July 2000, a Dutch reality TV series makes its way to American homes. Big Brother was advertised as the ultimate social experiment, putting 10 strangers together, isolating them in a house, and broadcasting their every movement for the world to see. Each week, America would vote to send home one of the 2 house guests that had been marked for banishment, until only 3 remained, and a winner was eventually crowned. Yeah, that format flopped. And I'm honestly surprised that it ever got a second season. But starting in 2001, the real version of the U.S. show began. This time they put 12 house guests together in a house with their every movement broadcast for the world to see. The twist was, this time the format was a bit different. Each round, a head of household would be crowned, and that person would gain the power to nominate 2 people who were then at risk of eviction. Instead of America voting on who would be evicted, the house guests themselves were the ones to cast the votes to evict. This format would be developed over the years, with the power of veto being introduced in the following season. This allowed the winner of the competition to remove one of the nominees, which forced the head of household to nominate someone else instead. That's the core experience. There's been some twists thrown in here or there, some for the better, and some are really most for the worst.
Get ready for a takeover!
But all in all, the nature of the insular gameplay makes each round more exciting. Unless you're a black contestant.
I know somebody got one more time to flip my bed and it's gonna be all hell in this house.
What you gonna do, girl?
See the black
what you
girl
gonna
come out of
do?
you.
Do something. Do it right now.
I'm not making a fool of myself. Please
Well, then
believe
don't
that.
talk. And first of all, I wouldn't get in your bed anyway with all them crabs.
I know you're only used to hearing my beautiful voice like once a year, but I'm meeting my quarterly quota. I'm back. We're here. Anyway, so I'm a Big Brother fan. If you followed the website or any of my social media feeds for any moment of time, you'd recognize this pretty much instantly. There's not a lot of TV shows that I actually watch religiously. Big Brother is like one of the few. I've been watching the show since the very beginning, when it was awkwardly rolled out as another version of The Real World and Survivor. And since then, it's always kind of served as second billing to them. What's always interested me about Big Brother was the social strategy element of it all. And yes, Survivor also has social strategy elements, but you don't get to see Survivor play out in real time. Whereas with Big Brother, you get to follow the feeds. You get to follow feed recappers. You get to see all of this stuff happening. The difficulty of navigating through 11 to 15 other people by varying means of power and influence, the ups and downs of people's personal games, how relationships form and fall apart, and the spill out of all of that. Honestly, it's probably what led to my eventual interest in politics and public policy. I don't know if that was a joke or not, but it's fucking true. Big Brother is a game of social and emotional intelligence. You can't just muscle your way through and expect to come away with $750,000. Oh. Okay. Yes, there were more to X and Cody's games, but let me cook here. Developing relationships is the core of the game. So what happens when you struggle to do just that? Okay, so like with everything that I do, we've got to go into the history of the show in order to really get into the meat of the topic today. So let's start by talking about the eras of Big Brother. Fans typically divide the seasons of the show into various eras. The first era, or the old school era, consists of the first 7 seasons of the show. The diary rooms are a bit more raw and real sounding. You really feel like you're getting these people's intricate thoughts and some explanations behind the moves that they're making in the house. It gives a lot of context to the live feeds themselves. This era produced some absolute legends of the game. Dr. Will Kirby, Danielle Reyes, June Song and Allison Cobb, formerly Irwin, Maggie Osborne, Kayser Rita, Janelle Pierzina, and amazing characters like Marcellus Reynolds, Jason Guy, Amy Ouellette, formerly Cruz, Monica It's On Bailey, fucking Marvin. But after season 7, Rich Meehan stepped down as producer and Allison Grodner took over. There's a massive difference in the production of the show with her at the helm. They leaned a bit more into the cheesiness and away from the social strategy on the broadcast. Her early years still produced some absolute bangers of seasons, like season 10 and 14. Some pretty good ones like 11 and 13, Queen Cleo was robbed. And some underrated seasons like 8 and 9. No, I don't care what none of y'all say. 9 can be a lot of fun. Watch the damn season with an open mind. At this point, the twists that the show introduces aren't too ridiculous. Yeah, season 8 has the enemies twist, but it's just a spin on the exes twist from season 4. Big Brother 10 is literally back to basics, and 9 gets a lot of crap because of when it happened and just how egregious it was and how terrible some of these house guests were. But that twist was meant to reflect the whole, it's Valentine's Day because we've got to force a season because of the writer's strike. That's a whole nother topic. It's not until season 11 where we start kind of getting these real gimmicky twists like the return of the coup d'etat and the saboteur, which fell on its face, and the golden key twist with Big Brother 13 with, I think, our first season of actual returnees outside of Big Brother All-Stars. This era ends with the oh-so-infamous Big Brother 15, which may or may not get a spotlight in today's topic. I'll get to it if it makes sense. Just know that the racism was no longer subtle with this season. It was very upfront, and it resulted in somebody like Erin Grease being let go from her job and immediately turning around and having a YouTube career right after. So yeah, yay, consequences for our actions, right?
We want to point out everyone in the house went in knowing that everything they say, everything they do gets broadcast live on the internet. So when you say the intention was not to hurt anyone, let me just read back a few of the things you said. Referring to Candace, you said, "Be careful what you say in the dark. Might not be able to see the bitch." Referring to Helen, you said, "Shut up. Go make some rice."
I didn't.
And referring to Andy, you said, "No one's going to vote for whoever that queer puts up." Can you see how those things can be interpreted as racist and as homophobic?
I do. I do not remember saying those things, and those things were not meant to be. That was.
The HD era comes next. That's from Big Brother 16 to 22. And it's kind of like a soft reboot. This is where they really lean into the camp on the broadcast and the wackiness and the hijinks. Big Brother 16 featured Frankie Grande, which was the bane of a lot of people's existence. I don't know. I enjoyed him. I thought, yeah, he was over the top, but he's not more ridiculous than anybody else. But it gave us great strategists like Derek, Vanessa, Tyler Crispin, Paul Abrahamian. And yeah, I got to give it to Nicole Franzel. Along with these well-known strategists, we got characters like Davon Rogers, the GIF, and Austin Madelson. Victims, aren't we all? I'm also very glad that he's gotten his big wrestling break on AEW. That's like fantastic for him. I'm legit happy for the dude. We got fun moments like Jose's scenarios, Paulie's downfall, Steve cutting Vanessa at the final 3, both of Paul's losses. This culminated in a dud of a second All-Star season during the COVID-19 pandemic that put one of production's biggest flaws in the limelight. Again, I'll probably get to that later. I hinted at that in the beginning. I don't know. I wrote this over the course of like 5 days, and my mind just can't really keep up with where I started. So you're just gonna have to bear with me, okay? But after that, we got a new slate, and that's our modern era. Since Big Brother 23, we've gotten what has been a pretty solid lineup of seasons. I won't touch on 23 yet because that's going to play a big role in this video, but 24 is probably the most unique and iconic winner and story in the history of the show. Big Brother 25's first half was incredibly fun if you watch the feeds, but it ended with a major dud. And Big Brother 26, oh baby, you want mess? You want drama? You want one of the best winning games we've ever seen? It's got it. I can't recommend it enough, but let me focus. I want you to do a thought exercise with me. And to do this thought exercise, you're going to get spoiled on the winners of every season. So if you want to keep spoilers limited, skip to this timestamp. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, spoiler time. Look at this list of winners. Can you tell me if you see a pattern in the first 22 seasons versus the last 4? Trust me, you don't have to think about this too hard. Everybody's from Texas. No, obviously, there's very little racial representation in the show's first 22 seasons of anyone who is not white or white passing. The only 3 exceptions to this rule are Season 4's June Song, Season 19's Josh Martinez, and Season 20's Casey Clark. Why is that? What about the format of the show leads to these results? Is it that non-white people are just bad at the social element of the game, particularly black players? Well, no, but technically, yes. I mean, if you're in a situation where the social dynamics require you to assimilate to the majority of the home, and the majority of the house is not like you or your culture, you're going to stand out pretty easily. And if you're from a culture that's not as tolerated, you're going to stand out even more. See, Big Brother at its core reflects the real world, or the American world. It reflects the racial and social dynamics present in our everyday lives, and it can leave those who don't fit in with the initial majorities that form out in the cold. Now, this does not mean that in forming the brigade that Hayden and Enzo and Lane and Matt intentionally left out Monet, nor does it mean that the Four Horsemen's reasoning for not taking Marvin seriously as a fifth piece was anything more than young bros broing it up with each other. Now, I will say that Marvin had a nomination in the season that it was pretty racially motivated. I can't speak for Natalie and Adria, but I know what it feels like, right? But it does mean that a Monica Bailey or a Candace Stewart can easily be overlooked, especially since people tend to gravitate more towards people that look like them, whether it's body type or racial and facial features. Big Brother 3 was the first season to have multiple black people on the cast, Danielle and Marcellus. They would repeat this effort on season 7, which was the first All-Star season. Season 10 was the next time that happened with Ollie and Libra, and 11 with Kevin and Shima. The first time we get more than one black male on a cast together is season 13 with Keith and LaJuan, and the first time we get 2 black women together on the cast is season 18, and one of them is a returning player. White people tend to hang with white people, and black people tend to hang out with other black people. We have studies that show this. That's the way things have been since we slowly started resegregating after the 1960s. I've already done a video on stuff like that. You can go watch it. Otherwise, this video would be even longer if I started diving into policy and racial politics. Big Brother in the Grodner era also started setting casting archetypes that the show typically followed every season. There's usually a surfer, an athlete, an all-American white man or white woman, the Southern Belle, the wacky wild card, the old person, the black. And this is why, along with the wacky hijinks of the episodes, that as we got into the middle years of the show, black players who were cast often struggled to find footing in the game, and if they weren't some of the first ones out the door, they were pretty much scrambling until they ran out of room to maneuver. From season 2 to season 21, only 12 black men were cast to play the game. 12 across nearly 20 seasons of the show. I'm not counting celebrity or over the top, just a mainline. There were 18 black women who played. So in total, you're talking about 30 black players. That's less than 2 full casts worth. Take a look at these placements for all of the black players on the show between season 2 and season 21. Just take a look. I know you've seen this. You can pause it if you need to, because I'm about to move on. This isn't to say that all of their evictions were the fault of just straight up racism. Devin, you sweet angel, you giant ball of chaos. I hope you're continuing to fly high. But there are some instances where it's pretty fucking obvious that this person's cultural differences alienated them from the rest of the cast. Jamaica, Jody, Candace, Davon, Kimmy, the aforementioned Marvin, Ramses, all of them come to mind. In the case of Jody, she struggled to form any kinds of bonds in her short time in the house and was swiftly booted for no reason other than manufactured drama for the episode. It didn't help that she was the only contestant in her 40s, and I'm not counting the coaches either. And yes, this happens to everyone. We see an example of this in season 24, but it becomes incredibly obvious when you have only 1 or 2 racial minorities in the house. And it becomes even more obvious when you've also looped the season's token LGBTQ person into the racial minority role. Now, to be clear, there's nothing wrong with an LGBTQ person of color being cast. It's the issue that the cast member is meant to check 2 boxes, and that's the only reason that they're there. All of this came to a height during Big Brother's 21st season when a twist called Camp Comeback forced evicted house guests to dress up in silly little uniforms and remain in the house with the players still in the game. At the end of the first 4 evictions, they would engage in a competition where the winner would return to the game and the losers would permanently be evicted. The idea had some spice. Letting evicted players hang around means that they can be privy to anything happening in the game, and it gives them a chance to theoretically stir things up. However, like most production twists, it just resulted in the majority of lions sticking together when they would have otherwise fallen apart. So out went David on a dumb day 1 eviction. Out went Ovi via a series of unfortunate events. Out went Kimmy after Jack and Jackson made it a point to target and focus on her for weeks. Out went Cliff, the old man who was able to win his way back, resulting in this. This is the picture that kicked up the conversation black fans had had for years. Then this summer happened.
Hands up, don't shoot! Hands up, don't shoot! Hands up!
The 3rd precinct of the Minneapolis Police Department, on fire. Nearby businesses ablaze. This is how the night of May 28th unfolded. George Floyd's arrest and death in police custody on Monday set off protests in the Twin Cities. The protesters are demanding that criminal charges be brought against the officers involved.
Put their fists up! Yeah! We all here! All lives matter!
When that didn't happen on Thursday, some demonstrators escalated their tactics, while others tried to keep the peace.
2020 still doesn't feel like a real year, by the way. There was like a 15-minute period where America woke up and was ready to have earnest conversations about systemic racism and oppression. Being made aware of social dynamics and having a semi-collective consciousness was interesting to witness. 2020 also gave us Big Brother All-Stars too. And really, I have to commend the producers here. They really tried their best. I mean, they swung for the fences with this. It's in the middle of COVID. Everybody's thinking we won't have a Big Brother season. And all of a sudden, we hear of the Big Brother 2 casting. We get really some people coming back that we never expected to see back. Kevin Campbell, Keisha Smith. And it just flops. It was an extremely predictable season. But what it did give us was this speech from Devon.
Cassandra Walden was the very first house guest to ever walk through those doors. She was a strong black woman. Danielle Reyes sat in these 2 chairs, iconic and legendary. She as well was a strong black woman and almost won this game. The spinoff version, Celebrity, Big Brother Tamar Braxton, another strong black woman, won this entire thing by a unanimous vote. I want to acknowledge every African American who has walked through those doors with the same desire to be that face that I have. I see you, I salute you, and I appreciate you. You came in here, you knew the odds were against you, you knew that it was going to be an uphill battle, and you still fought, and you fought like hell. And for that, I love you, I admire you, and I acknowledge you on today. I had the desire to join that list of women and be the first African American to ever win this game. 21 seasons of winners, and not one of those faces looked like mine. So when I walked through those doors, I had that desire, that determination to be the very first face to give hope to those behind me who have the desire to come in here and play this game. Because not seeing a face that looks like mine is very discouraging, it's hurtful, and it does make me feel like maybe it's impossible. But I'm wrong about that because it's definitely possible. We can do it, it just hasn't been done.
And Big Brother 22 also gave us the most amount of black people we've had play in the same season ever at that point in time. Big Brother 13 had 3. Big Brother 22 had David, Devon, Bailey, and Kevin Campbell. But it also showed Devon and Bailey undergoing a really nasty eviction week for Bailey. General tip, avoid naming your children after holidays. But it was because of the 2020 protest of everything happening around that time. And I'm inclined to believe Devon's speech played a big role in this. But CBS instituted a rule that from there on out, all of their reality shows and reality competition shows would require a cast to be made up of at least 50% people of color. Enter Big Brother 23. With the 50% initiative, the Big Brother 23 cast gave us the most racially diverse cast in the US version's history. Tiffany, Hannah Chada, Xavier, Derek Frazier, Derek Zhao, Azza, Kylan, and Alyssa were the 8 people of color cast for this season. And honestly, fan feelings on this season are mixed. And 6 of those 8 people I mentioned are the reason why. No, it's not like that, I swear. See, Big Brother 23, how can I put this? Big Brother 23 is like the Pokemon Red and Blue of Big Brother. It's full of flaws, it's well remembered, and it's absolutely necessary to understand what the fuck is going on here. It's probably a bad analogy, but whatever, we'll move on. The issue that fans have with this season is that the 6 black players in the house, Tiffany, Chada, X, DF, Azah, and Kylan, all recognize that they had the chance to make sure the first black winner in the history of the show was crowned. And in forming the cookout, they did just that. No, I promise, I swear to God, it's not like that. Basically, the season is boring for a lot of people. The cookout utterly dominated. From about week 2, when the alliance was solidified, until the end of the game, there was little room for anyone else to do anything about it, if they could even figure out that it was happening. They created a bigger version of the brigade strategy, where each member had a +1 that they treated as their true number 1 in the house. Xavier had Christian and then Alyssa. Kylan had Sarah Beth. Hannah had DX. Tiffany had Claire. And DF and Azah had Brittany. The purpose of this grouping was to ensure that the rest of the house saw their +1 as their true allies, not the rest of the cookout, so that none of the cookout members, if ever nominated, were ever endangered, and they would never be nominated together. If one week someone like Christian got power and wanted to target Derek X, he would likely nominate Hannah alongside him, since she, in Christian's mind, would be the most likely to use the power of veto on DX and therefore save him. If at the end of the week the nominations were the same, then there were enough votes between Alyssa, Xavier, Kylan and SB, Tiffany and Claire, and DF, Azah, and Brittany to ensure Hannah would be safe. They controlled every eviction this season, which led to boring feeds and stale gameplay, and I get why people didn't like that. But when I look at the impact of the season, it's one of my favorites without question. You had strategic powerhouses like Tiffany, hey boo, and Xavier deserves credit as a strategist as well. You had Kylan, who very well could have won the game if he didn't go full Kylan. You had the chaos of Frenchie's first week as HOH. You had a man legitimately named Brent Champagne. You had Ivic to evote. You had Alyssa figuring out at the final 7 that the final 7 were all people of color before she was immediately evicted. You had then the obvious end game to every Big Brother season at this point, where the biggest people in the house dominate all the competitions and prevent anybody who's not big, muscular, and strong with upper body strength from getting to the end of the season. Thank God Big Brother 26 tried to change it up. It just didn't matter because MJ and Chelsea were locked in at that point. But it didn't matter. At the final 6, for the first time all season, the 6 of them come together and have a meeting celebrating the fact that they did it. The most dominant alliance in Big Brother history got all 6 of its members to the final 6 and accomplished its mission of crowning the first black winner of Big Brother proper. It's great. It's amazing. I love it. I'm very happy for it. Extremely excited that it happened. The legend herself, Danielle Reyes, was celebrating when this went down. And it marked the beginning of a new era where players of color had a better chance than they ever had before. And really, since Big Brother 23, we've had nothing but players of color win. Again, look, at this point, you're getting spoiled, okay? I'm sorry. But Big Brother 23, you had Xavier. 24, you had Taylor. 25, you had Jag. That's a whole different topic altogether. In 26, you had Chelsea. So I would say the initiative worked because it gave these players a fighting chance. But there's a couple of, or really one big controversy we got to talk about. So I mentioned before, Big Brother 24 has one of the best stories that you could ever see in any reality television show that isn't scripted. An entire season of a player just defying odds at every turn. A player that in any other season is probably the first boot for circumstances beyond their control, who just wills her way through the game and maintains as many relationships as possible to get to the end. But that season has a slightly dirty mark. I mean, it's not a huge deal, but it becomes a center of conversation whenever you see any discussion with Big Brother fandom. And I'm not talking about like the racist trolls or the people who just genuinely can't comprehend black people doing anything. I mean the people who have the legitimate and serious question of, Why was Kyle's paranoia such a big deal? If you don't know, in Big Brother 24, there comes a point where Kyle, this guy here, starts to try and form an all-white alliance because he believes that a Cookout 2.0 is happening. This gets him in some hot water. Not immediately, because Michael and Brittany hold on to this information until they need to use it to save themselves in the game. That's another topic in and of itself. But the point is that when this gets outed, Kyle is pretty quickly chastised and booted from the game. Not by Big Brother itself, but by the contestants in the house. This raised a lot of questions from people in the community about why Kyle was being targeted in that manner when, in their minds, it made sense to look out for a Cookout 2.0. But asking that very question shows that you missed the entire point of the Cookout. Through 22 seasons prior, no black player had ever won. And since season 13, no black player had even made it to jury until David stumbled his way into there in Big Brother All-Stars 2. I take it back, that's incorrect. Davon and Zakiya both made jury in Big Brother 18, but David had made it the furthest, actually making it halfway through the game. He came in 8th place. The Cookout basically sacrificed their games, 5 of the 6 of them, so that nobody else would have to do so that a black player could happen, and the next set of black players to come through didn't feel obligated to band together to ensure that it could finally happen. It's happened. The monkey is off. That's a bad metaphor. The chip is off the shoulder, and now black players can just play. Socially, they're now on equal footing. And you can see in the seasons that have happened since season 23 how that's gone. Not just Taylor's win in 24, but the role that Monty and Joseph and a couple others in the season play. Hell, Amira is a power player until she's blindsided in week 3. Big Brother 25, yeah, Jag comped his way to the very end, but Jag wins the game. You have Sari, you have Felicia, you have Blue, you have all these other minority players who wouldn't have been cast together in any other circumstance. And then season 26, you have Cam, shout out to all my dogs at the crib. You've got Chelsea. You've got T-Core, who's also a power player. Chemo, who's a native Hawaiian who we hadn't seen on the game before. All of these players got an equal chance to shine, and that's because of the work that the Cookout did. I know this probably won't solve the problem for most people. This probably won't answer the question. And for some people out there, they're just going to be stubborn and choose not to get it. But the Cookout happening was essential to the continuation of the series. I can't tell you how many friends of mine or how many family members actively stopped watching because people that looked like them never had a chance. I know people who never auditioned because they didn't think if they ever made it that they would stand a chance of blending in and bonding with the people in the house. I had to convince my mom to watch season 23 because she just didn't believe that it could actually happen. This woman sat there and watched Danielle Reyes lose 9-1 with me when I was like 13 years old. I think that scarred her for life. I know there's plenty of you out there that don't understand representation and the importance of it and never will, and I really don't give a shit what you have to say. But for those of you that genuinely wanted to learn more about this and understand why it mattered, I hope that helped. Season 27's coming up. I tried to get this through just in time for the season. I hope it gives us some magical moments. I hope it builds off of the momentum that 26 gave us. The house pictures look amazing. So, yeah, Big Brother fans, here's to another season. And here's to hoping that we never need another Cookout ever again.